This is KiwaniTalk. KiwaniTalk is a public information program, and this week we're having a program that's very important to us. We like to do this every year. It's a Christmas-related program. We're here with Captain David Martinez, the head of the Dearborn Heights Citadel here nearby. And Captain David, it's nice to have you with us.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Thank you, Ray.
And I thought we'd start the show, and because a lot of people don't understand the kind of the background of the Salvation Army.
Sure.
But would you give us a little bit of your background and how you got involved originally?
Yeah.
And also a little bit about your family, and also your wife is a member
Sure.
of the Salvation Army.
Well, even if I wasn't a member of the Salvation Army as far as being an officer or a member of the congregation, I would still owe a lot to the Salvation Army. The Salvation Army as an organization and what it represents to my family, what it did for my family. And so specifically, this goes back to my mother being a young girl. My family had 11 aunts and uncles on my mom's side, and when they were very young, when my mom was very young, she was the third youngest. My grandmother, she had mental illness issues, and she ended up abandoning the family and leaving. And ultimately, they never reconciled. They never got to know my grandmother again after that point. But this is where the Salvation Army comes into my story. While my family was going through this situation, the Salvation Army officers in my hometown of LaPorte, Indiana, they reached out to my family and started to minister to them and inviting them to youth programs and activities and supporting them through even Christmas exercises and support. And so that got my family, my aunts and my uncles and my mother involved in the Salvation Army, in the youth programs, camp, the church side of the Salvation Army. And since then, my family's been associated with the Salvation Army. When I was 5 years old, I believe, there's a picture of me in the newspaper of helping out with sorting food for gift boxes for the Salvation Army. And so I didn't anticipate at that point that I would be an officer, a pastor of the Salvation Army. And in fact, even going through college and starting my career, I didn't envision being an officer or pastor of the Salvation Army. But eventually God showed us that that's what we should be doing, and so my wife and I get the privilege of doing that, and specifically get the privilege of doing that here in the Detroit area, in Dearborn and Dearborn Heights and Livonia, Redford and Garden City. And so it's been a great privilege for us to have this opportunity.
Well, there are a lot of organizations that have a time in the year where they raise money or they do this or that, but the Salvation Army is all year long.
Yeah.
It's a full-time charity.
Yeah, in fact, our busy season no longer is actually Christmas. While we have a large focus on Christmas, summer has become just as busy as far as the demands on our personal schedule and our work schedule. And so it encompasses a year-round effort.
That has something to do with children not being in school, probably.
Yes.
And the needs of a lot of young people in the summer.
The needs transition, and as has been the tradition of the Salvation Army, to adjust and to be adaptable. Because fortunately, sometimes needs change as far as some needs getting met, and then you don't have to meet those needs anymore. There's still a general need. As Jesus said, the poor will always be with you, and that's certainly true, and we never want to forsake that part of the demographic. But needs do change, and we want to be adaptable, and we do our best to do that.
Yeah. Well, we've started, with a little introduction. Let's go a little farther. Now, your wife's also a member of the Salvation Army, and did you meet sometime around when you were in training for the Salvation Army, or when?
So we met in college.
Okay.
We both went to the University of St. Francis in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I played soccer and studied TV production, actually. Mm-hmm. My wife played volleyball and got her teaching degree. And so we met on campus, and she made me wait 6 years before we were able to finally get married, which probably seems like a long time now, maybe not so much in previous years. But she was a member of a very good church that she grew up in. And so she would not have been involved in the Salvation Army until she met me. And then jumping ahead a little bit, we ended up spending a year overseas, just as lay missionaries for the Salvation Army. We lived in the Republic of Georgia, part of the old Soviet Union, for about a year. And it was at that point, our plan was to just come back home. She just took a year sabbatical from teaching. We were going to come back home. She was going to go back to teaching high school, which she does very well and enjoys doing. And I was going to be honest, I didn't know what I was going to do when I came back. But we just thought we were going to come back and live life as we saw fit. But in the end, while we were overseas is when we felt an urge to become full-time in ministry and to do that with the Salvation Army.
Well, it's really interesting to hear the background, because in Georgia, what do they speak in Georgia? Is it Russian?
Yeah, so it's pretty split. Most people do speak Russian, but in that whole region, there's the more nationalistic expression. So Moldovians want to speak Moldovan, Romanians want to speak Romanian, and Georgians want to speak Georgian, and it's actually very impressive.
So you're quadrilingual.
No,
hardly.
if I would have done taken advantage of the opportunity, perhaps, but they're two very difficult languages. I think most people are somewhat familiar with Russian, and Georgian is actually a more difficult language than Russian, and it has a different character set altogether. So when people in Georgia are trilingual, they know English, Russian, and Georgian, and are literate in all three. It's just very impressive, because it's three different character sets, and it is impressive. So.
Well, now we're going to get down to the business of this.
Okay.
We want to talk about the bell ringing program for the Salvation Army, and the way it's been evolved over the years. Now many people volunteer to be bell ringers. And you have quite a nice system to allow people to sign up for hours at locations in their community. And it's ringbell.org, isn't it?
Ringbell.org, and that is singular. If you go to ringbells.org, that's also a way to register, but it's for a different community. It's not for our specific community. So ringbell.org, singular. And it's just a very easy way to sign up. If for some reason there's a difficulty, people are able to call our office and we can do the sign up process. But it is very easy for individuals, families, groups, businesses, churches to go in and sign their own groups, or again as just individuals or families, and register. And
it's great when you use that, and it brings up all the locations. And you can pick your location, and the available times are there. You can't pick a time that's already been...
so if a volunteer has already assigned themselves, registered themselves, then it wouldn't show up as an eligible time or location. But as long as it's not been spoken for yet, every day except Sunday, between November 9th and Christmas Eve, we have spots available. And it's very exciting to us at this point in the season. We're already seeing a lot of people register. Certainly we are happy and hope that more will. But as it looks to us on the computer, the spreadsheet that formulates for us, it's nice when we see yellow blocks.
Those are the ones that
those are the ones that means volunteers are already registered, and we've got a couple of days already that have a high volume of yellow blocks already. So we're very excited and blessed about that.
I better get busy and do it.
That's true. You might lose your spot.
I think I've been trying to do 24 hours. You know, and you
not in a row.
You
have
to spread that out over 6 or 8 or 10 days or something like that. You know, and I find it's quite a bit of fun, actually. Because I do it at a local, I've been trying to do it at a local Kroger's. And a lot of people come through that know me pretty well by now. And of course, we usually shop at that Kroger's too. And so it's kind of fun.
And most people do it out of their free will, obviously, to volunteer. But they do get a lot of feedback in return, a lot of positive feedback, and I'm sure you would be able to speak to that being out there. Even myself, when I'm out there bell ringing and people say thank you, Salvation Army, and they talk about a different community or even a different era, but they thank me because I happen to be the spokesperson in that moment, and so it's a really gratifying experience to have that.
I try and make it a little bit of fun by having I go to ABC Warehouse and buy a less than $20 CD player. And I can take an extension cord and even plug it in. I don't even have to use batteries.
That's right.
And it just plays Christmas music the whole time. Not too loud,
Yeah.
but loud enough that people can hear it when they come up towards the bucket.
Yeah.
And then I wrap a little string of battery-powered lights around the Salvation Army ring bell, or sign.
I can get you a louder bell if it's the attention that you're trying to get.
Well, I just like a bell that you can make it ring.
Yeah.
Sometimes they hang up.
We have jingle bells that we started to implement, which are you might call them Santa Claus bells, and they're the ones that have Velcro on them. And so when I get to tease and promote bell ringing, I say those are nice because you just Velcro them on your hand, and then you just let the shivering do the work.
Yeah,
and then the shivering will ring the bell for you yourself. We do have a new promotion this year. We have a local jeweler in Detroit, and every person that volunteers for a 2-hour shift this year gets put into a drawing to win a $6,000 necklace, diamond necklace this year. It's called Ring for Bling is the name of the promotion. And so not that most people need additional incentive because they do it out of the goodness of their heart, but there is an opportunity to receive a bit of a reward this year for anyone that volunteers.
Well, if I should happen, I know it's not in this area, but if something like that came up, I just donate it back to the
Well, it's actually for the entire Metro Detroit area, so it does
really?
include our location. So
well, hey, maybe we'll get lucky.
We'll be pulling for you to win it, so you can donate it back to us.
Okay. Well, there's one fun story that it's in the paper. Somebody has a safe deposit box someplace with Krugerrands in it.
Oh yeah.
And they're worth about, I don't know, $100, $150 or something like that. And somebody puts one in one of the buckets around town here every year, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's talked about amongst the.
There's times in which we get unique items in the kettles, and most of the time we hope it's a gold coin. But other times there's teeth or aspirin, some other maybe unmentionable things. But the Krugerrands are certainly fun to get. Yeah. Any gold coin.
What in your experience? What are one of the better things that have shown up in the buckets in your organization?
Yeah, we've had some rings show up, which people want to get back, which we're happy to do that. It just takes some coordination because we do have locks on the kettles at the stands for safety purposes. Cufflinks, keys.
No, I mean things that were intended to be donated.
Oh, I see. We have had people actually put rings in the kettles themselves, intending for us to then take and resell them. We get notes.
How about larger bills?
Larger bills? Yeah. $50 bills are the most unique ones to receive. $100 we get more. $100 bills we get more. Our boys have a couple of $1 million play bills that they're fun to get, but they don't really do much for us for the bottom line.
No. How about $2 bills?
$2 bills are always exciting to get. But the other side of that is, and of course, it's a fundraising effort, and we have a goal that we're trying to reach. But we certainly want to make sure when we have the opportunity to let everybody know whatever denomination they give, it's appreciated, and we do our best to be good stewards of the smallest gift and the largest gift and everything in between.
Yeah. Captain Martinez, we have we're going to take a little break now, a short little commercial for Kiwanis. Join us in just about a minute. We're here visiting with Captain David Martinez from the Dearborn Heights Citadel of the Salvation Army.
That's right.
Who is a kid? Well, that's a kid. And another. Look, a gaggle of them. Or is it a herd? Litter? Pride. But what about her? Tell her she's not a kid. Or him. So how do we tell who is a kid? Height? Age, maybe. But some of us have to grow up faster than others. A A kid. A kid. A kid wants to make the world better. And one day, he just might. Is a kid fearless? Vulnerable? Strong? Nervous? Yes. 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 Kiwanis is 600,000 kids at heart doing all the little and big things it takes to help children around the world. Because kids need Kiwanis. All of them.
Hello, this is Ray Scaboria back. I'm the host this evening's program, and we're talking with Captain David Martinez from the Dearborn Heights Citadel, and we're trying to get you to realize that you can participate in bell ringing. There's a website, ringbell.org, in our community in Dearborn Heights area, and if you want to ring the bell for the Salvation Army, you can go to that website, and the locations available will be listed there, and you can sign up for some hours if you would like to do it. And it's a lot of fun, so think about it. And Captain Martinez, let's talk a little bit now about what percentage of the fundraising that you do annually comes during the Christmas holiday period.
Yeah. So most people, when it comes to bell ringing, and they associate that to the Christmas season, obviously, because that's when it takes place. And we do a lot of service during the Christmas season, food boxes and toys, along with other really good organizations in the community. But our bell ringing effort, which again takes place during the Christmas season, it's not just for our Christmas season programs and activities. In fact, on average, we have about 60 to 70% of our fundraising effort takes place during the Christmas season. So that includes bell ringing and people that drop off donations or send donations through the mail during the Christmas season. We receive about, again, 60 to 70% of our total fundraising effort. And that allows us to do not just work during the Christmas season, but year-round. And so we just finished with a backpack distribution out of our facility. We're in the middle of a coat distribution. So if anyone is looking for a coat at this time of year and needs one, they can give us a call, and we might be able to accommodate them in that way. We're exploring more homeless outreach and focus, especially during the winter season. And so that helps. Our food pantry is year-round. Our rent and utility assistance is year-round. And then we get into some specialized programs that are more seasonal as well. We have youth leagues, basketball, hockey, floor hockey, and we have our summer day camp. We have our overnight camp that's almost free for kids to go for a week overnight at our camp in Leonard, Michigan, just about an hour and 15 minutes north of here.
Okay, now that's a summer camp, is that right?
So those are summer camps, yeah. Mm-hmm.
How does the summer camp operate? Does it have is it open for a period of time, and the children can go for, say, a week or whatever?
So out of our facility, we have our summer day camp, which is an 8 or 9 week season, depending on what the schedule works out to be, depending on school and the 4th of July holiday, for example. And those are just day-long programs that the kids can register for. For the overnight camps, those operate anywhere between 3 to 6 days, depending on the specific camp, and those are opportunities for kids to focus on sports or music or outdoor activities, high adventure we call it, getting on the high ropes and that type of thing. So anybody that's interested in that, again, we're just coming out of the summer season. but it's not too soon to get on our mailing list or to contact us and make sure that the information is delivered to anybody that wants to when the time comes.
And those camps are very stimulating to children that are in a more urban setting,
Sure.
because they don't have the exposure to a campsite.
Yeah, well,
very often.
we've been in Michigan. Our family has been in Michigan for about a year and a half now. We just arrived last summer, and we really love the culture of Michigan, of being outdoors. And we bought a bike rack as soon as we arrived, and we've tried to take advantage of that as much as possible. But even at that, there's still devices that are tempting our kids to stay focused and inside and behind a screen. And so we want to continue to provide opportunities for kids to explore more than just technology.
Yeah. And it's all children. All children are affected the same way.
Yeah.
And one thing children need to do is to get outside and run around a little
Yeah.
bit. And
Yeah.
it's just the healthy thing for young people.
Yeah,
to
you really can't
but
do it too much. So yeah.
That's right. It wasn't a problem when I was young, because there were no game things or any of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The way, if you stayed inside, it was to play cribbage with grandpa or something like that.
Well, that's going to push you outside then. Yeah, if that's your only option inside. Yeah.
So going through the year, what happens? Say if you start after the Christmas holiday season. Mm-hmm. What are the first events going through the year? Starting with January, February.
Yeah. So as far as community center programs, our basketball leagues for youth start in January. So there's already registration available for that.
And that's your big facility behind the center.
Yeah, we have a nice gymnasium in our facility on Warren Avenue, and so registration's available right now. If anybody, children or grandchildren, they're interested. They want to contact us, we could give them that information. And so we go to community center programs, and we hit those pretty hard after the new year. We have to spend a lot of our focus on bell ringing during that season, and the whole Christmas season, food and gift distribution, that type of thing. But then we go into again community center programs in our camping season as we go into the summer.
Now, the food distribution and the gift program, and you set that up in our
gymnasium.
Yep. And describe that a little bit, because it's always worth a description. How you have that set up, it's almost like set up like a store. Almost.
Yeah, it's a great privilege we have here, and this is our third appointment, and so we've seen it done in different communities with different variables of resources. And we are spoiled to be in Ford's backyard. They provide so many volunteers that come out and help us run a very smooth operation. And so we have about 350 families that'll come over a 2-day period to receive their food boxes and gifts. Again, if anyone's in need of assistance, they can contact our office, and we'll get them signed up and hopefully be able to provide items for them this year. But we just set up our gymnasium, and so there's a nice, we call it a toy shop, and so we have volunteers take the parents, the mothers, the fathers, whoever happen to come, so that they can select the gifts for themselves, for their children. And then they actually take them home and they wrap them themselves, and whether they ever acknowledge the Salvation Army is really up to them, and we don't require that, and we don't necessitate it. But
do they get wrapping paper if they
yeah,
need
so
it?
we have wrapping paper as we're able
tape,
to. Yes,
ribbon.
we try to give them all the toys and the
all
gifts
the
in a box.
necessities.
Yes, so that it just creates an opportunity for them to really provide gifts for their children on their own behalf. Yeah.
It's such a nice way to do it, because it also the parents also get to participate in the acquisition of the toys and the decoration.
Yeah, so not only do they filter so that the children get gifts that they will appreciate and use, but they also get, as they should, they get the sense that they are providing these gifts for their children.
Yeah.
And the number of gift not cards, but the number of thank yous that we receive after the season is just really appreciative. We wish we could distribute them more to those that contribute, as far as the donors and the volunteers and everything. But at least in this venue, we can say we get to absorb that gratitude and know that the recipients are very, very grateful for what they receive.
Well, we're here talking about the bell ringing program, and we want to remind you again that you can participate if you wish.
Yes.
And in order to participate, you can go to the website ringbell.org, and you can find in your community, and we're talking in Dearborn Heights right now. Mm-hmm. And how many locations are there about?
Yeah, in the Dearborn Heights area, we have about 15 locations. 15 locations. And that includes double door sites, for example, the Walmart that has 2 doors. And some of our locations are actually indoors between double doors. And so if that is a challenge as far as the weather, we can accommodate those. So feel free to contact us if that's something that would be beneficial.
So now's the time to go to that site and look to see if there's a location you would like to ring the bell at. And the Salvation Army, there's almost always time frames that are not signed up
Sure.
for. So believe me, there's always a need. There's always a location that you could ring the bell at if you were willing to put aside. What are they, 3 hours?
2 hours. We asked for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. I like to take a double because 4 hours is not that bad.
Well, if you're going to get bundled up, you want to get your money's worth. But
that's why I get one of the indoor sites.
Oh yeah.
And I take a very comfortable bar stool.
Okay.
And I put it, and it's quite comfortable sitting on that. And of course you're right, head height with most people.
That's right.
So you don't have to look up at people from a chair.
Sure.
And it's a little heavy, but it's worth it.
Yes, thank you.
Makes it comfortable for me.
Yeah.
So we're at our last minute here.
Okay.
Captain Martinez, is there anything you'd like to say here just to kind of close
Sure.
up our program here?
Yeah, once again, it's our privilege. We've been in this community for since 1972 as far as being in the Dearborn Heights area, and we've just appreciated it immensely. We know that the community supports us, and we are blessed to be conduits of the generosity that this community provides. And it's our goal once more to just be as good of a steward as we can, that we would be worthy of the trust and the generosity that this community gives. And hopefully everyone has a safe and Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday season. Happy Thanksgiving, and appreciate the Kiwanis for all of your continued support, not just in this moment, not just during the season, but year round. You really do support us well, and we thank you for that.
Well, thank you for coming on KiwaniTalk, Captain Martinez, and Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for watching KiwaniTalk. Join us again soon.